with a morning vlog. So it's going to be it's 9:58, Thursday, 14th July 2016. Start date. Da, 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 da. Oh, I did. So what the hell? This might be a bit of a controversial video. I don't know if it's a controversial video. Controversial. Should I even mention any of my videos? Should I even preface any of my videos like that? So now I've been seeing a lot of these videos on this Black Lives Matter and stuff about racism in America and things like that. Initially, when this when all these police shooting stuff started, I wasn't really okay. I thought it was a problem, but I didn't pay much attention to it. But recently, I've been like, man, this is like I saw some recent things, and it's like, man, racism is a real problem in America, around the world too, but particularly in America. So I support the Black Lives Matter movement, and I will link below to a video by Delia where she talks about she talks about this issue in a much more in a much better way than I could articulate it. So if you really see her video, and then you will understand like what I agree with what she's saying. So one thing I want to mention is that on the internet we can get caught up in all of these debates about race and gender and all of these things, and people can seem very cynical and we're all equal and all this. I mean, PlayStation 3. But the truth is, you can have all of these debates, and you can be cynical or jaded, but when you actually live life, racism is an experience that is actually lived. So it's a real thing, and it's very harmful to. I mean, I can understand why a lot of black people are angry. I can understand why they have a lot of resentment and bitterness, and I understand their anger and their frustration, because you live that daily. You're not just talking about it. It's not just a conversation topic for you. It's actually your life. Your life is impacted by racism in the whole country. Whether it's a part of your daily life experience, and that's something I feel like on these online debates people forget that. So yeah, I mean, another point Delia makes in her video is that not all people of color don't experience the same levels of racism. Like look at me. I'm a person of color, but I'm not a black person. I'm not. A black person it's usually, you know what I mean, from the skin color and the, what a black person is. It's like the I can't even explain it, but the point is, I can't explain it without sounding problematic. From Africa, okay. Well, I shouldn't laugh, but so there are people who have they're people of color, but they're not all the same. So it seems to me like the darker your skin is, the more racism you're going to experience. It's like a very visual thing. Like people look just at the color of your skin, people make judgments about you. Like even like lighter skinned black people, they're seen as less threatening than darker skinned black people. It's just like it's, I don't know whether that's a social thing or it's a like a like biological. Like I don't think it can be biological because it's like that doesn't make any sense because like there are whole societies with black people in it. I mean they're not like afraid of each other. It's like so it must be some kind of a social conditioning or whatever. I don't know, something like that. So yeah, that's another problem, right? So yeah, not don't conflate all people of color that they all experience the same thing. No, they experience different levels of racism. Uh, and similarly, I would say that I don't think it's good to conflate oppressions and say they all every oppressed minority group is kind of in the same boat. No, every oppressed group has its own particular issues, and we would do a disservice by combining them and conflating them because then you're erasing those significant differences that matter and that impact each group in a particular way. So for example, let's say gender and race. Like I don't think you can say the oppression of women and the oppression of other black people or whatever is the same. It's not. I mean, it's just not. It's just not. So I think it's important to bear that in mind. I can personally attest to you that being a woman in this world, it is a difficult thing, and I haven't lived my whole life as a woman. I don't know. I cannot say what it's like to really be a woman, but I have had experiences where people have treated me as a girl, and I could see how as a girl you have to be very careful about how you interact with people, especially strangers. The street harassment thing, and just how people don't take you that seriously. I've actually seen this happen. Like I was like people when you're a girl, like it's like whatever you say, people they don't take you as seriously as they would if a guy said it. It's like it's that. So anyway, so okay, so yeah, it's important not to compare oppressions and things like that. Um, like yeah, this is another point I want to make. So the thing is, I do support the Black Lives Matter movement. Um, I think I think if you're a black in America, you're basically fucked. You're gonna have a very hard time, and it's important for people to acknowledge that and not sort of get caught up in this idea that people live in a post-racial society because that's just bullshit. No, that's just an idea. That idea may float around in some elite academic circles or whatever, but or people who are, I don't know, naive. But no, race is still a big issue. I don't think it'll ever go away, but maybe we can minimize it, manage it. Uh, yeah, we should. I think people should acknowledge that racism is real. It is actually quite harmful and hurtful and can be psychologically damaging. And let's not get too cynical about it and get caught up in all these stupid online debates when the real issue is people actually live lives. They go through this. They die. They get killed because of their race. It's like a very subtle thing. Um, you know, yeah. So yeah, I don't want. I mean, yeah. That's all. That's what I say. I want to support the Black Lives Matter movement. Um, regard the gender thing, yeah, I mean, women do face um, the experiences, and the it's I can understand, like, as a if a person has gone through experiences of oppression, uh, you can empathize with other people, like for instance, if you're a woman or whatever, or a trans person like me, if you you know we can empathize with other groups, but I think it's important for us to acknowledge that other groups have their own particular issues, and that even and I have privilege. Even though I'm a person of color, I have privilege because I'm not. I have a certain amount of privilege because I'm not a black person. I do believe that black people are more discriminated against, and depending on where you live, I guess. But so no, I have to acknowledge my limited privilege, whatever it is, uh, and acknowledge that yes, even if I am oppressed, um, whether as a woman, as a trans person, I can be oppressed as both a woman and as a trans person, depending on how people see me. If people see me as a girl, I'm going to be experiencing the oppression of what girls go through. But if people see me as a trans person, then I'm going to deal with that. So, so there's that intersectionality thing. Um, but yes, yeah, even if I personally have all of these oppressions, I know that I am not a black person. I don't know, like, I can sort of imagine because I've had similar kind of experiences of racism, not to the extent that a black person in America might face. I don't know what that is like. But so I have to acknowledge that my experiences of marginalization, it is, even though it's harmful to me personally, I cannot say therefore I can speak for, or I cannot just say, oh, I know what they're feeling, or I know what a black person in America feels like, because I don't um, they, their experiences, I think, probably is going to be much worse. um, so I have to, even though I am part of an oppressed group, I have to acknowledge that there are people out there who are more oppressed than me, or who have oppressions that are kind of different from mine, and I have to acknowledge that difference, not minimize that difference. And if their oppression is actually much more severe than my oppression, then I have to acknowledge that I have a certain amount of privilege, and I have to allow the more marginalized and oppressed group, um, lift them up, lift them up. Yeah, it's no one wants to compare oppressions. I heard that phrase. I don't know exactly what it means, but it sounds true. No one wants to compare oppressions, but I think we have to acknowledge that not all oppressions are the same. That we do have some privileges depending on which group we belong in and which context we live in. So I sent an email to the Legal Profession Admission Board, informing them about you know, my latest dilemma, obtaining my character reference and whatnot. I also mentioned a little bit about my YouTube, and I wonder what they say. Maybe they won't say anything. They're stonewalling me. They are stonewalling me. Yeah. At the end of the day, yes, each group has its own issues, oppressed group. But we should acknowledge differences between oppressed groups, and some oppressed groups have more problems, and they have to be uplifted, being an ally. And I'm sure there are so many complex issues that I'm not aware of here, but this is my view. I think I support the Black Lives Matter movement. They're not a hate group. They're not saying black people are better than on other people. It's not like they're not saying other people's lives don't matter. What they're saying is, no. black people's lives matter because they live in a society where black people are being treated as if they're less than. So they're trying to say, no, 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 black lives matter. They do matter. Don't treat us like we're less than. That's what that sign is about. Maybe I'll also link to a video where Delia was interviewing a black trans woman, because black trans women get in all the trans deaths that happen in America every year. About 2/3 or whatever are black trans women So, I only saw half of that interview, but she seemed like a very reasonable, very very nice person. So I'll link that interview as well.